Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be showcasing some really fun battles in the Open Great League featuring the Triple Tongue theme team. This team features Haunter on the lead, Lickitung as the save switch, and Obstagoon as the closer. Haunter is a very high-risk, high-reward pick. While it can output a tremendous amount of damage, it is exceedingly glassy, meaning that even resisted charge moves threaten to take it out. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the Triple Tongue theme team in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, Haunter into Galarian Stunfisk. This is a pretty bad lead for me. I'm going to stay in to farm up some energy, but then look to switch. So I farm up, switch, and I'm able to catch a Rock Slide onto my Lickitung. That is fantastic. Lickitung is going to be able to absorb that damage, no problem. And then G-Fizz decides to stay in. They are farming up a ton of energy, so I'm going to fire off the Power Whip. If they're going to stay in, I may as well get some damage off. Power Whip does some nice damage, and then they're going to bring in Medicham. This is not a great matchup for Lickitung, especially when I'm at this low of health, so I'm just not going to shield anything here. They go for the power-up punch, and I decide to fire off a Body Slam. I am going to get countered down here, but I do have a Shadow Punch on my Haunter, so if I'm able to get it into Shadow Punch range, which I'm able to, I'm going to be able to deny all of their energy by firing off this move. Shadow Punch is going to be taking down the Medicham. G-Fisk has energy, so I switch as soon as the G-Fisk comes in, and I'm able to catch a Rock Slide for the second time. This time onto my Obstagoon. Obstagoon goes for the Night Slash, but the opponent returns the favor, catching my Night Slash onto their Shadow Nidoqueen. A game of catches galore. Shadow Nidoqueen is not a great matchup for Obstagoon in the 2-shield, so I'm actually going to save all my shields for Haunter. They go for the Poison Fang, I tank it, and I'm going to fire off the Night Slash just before I get taken out. This is going to be getting that Nidoqueen very low, and they decide to no shield as well. They shouldn't be able to reach an Earth Power here. This should only be a Poison Fang, so I'm going to save my shields and try and fast move down this G-Fisk. We're able to farm down. Back in comes G-Fisk. It's low. They do have back-to-back Rock Slides here, but I don't believe they're going to be able to get to 3. We shield up the Rock Slide. Haunter able to farm down, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Haunter into Obstagoon, an absolute nightmare lead. I am ABA weak to Obstagoon, so this is a big problem. I go for the Night Slash catch, I fail it, they save their energy, and they're going to bring in Shadow Nidoqueen. Things going from bad to worse. I do live the Poison Fang, so I am going to let this through, and then my plan is to farm up a ton of energy to try and trick them into thinking that I have Hyper Beam. I farm up a bunch, go for the Night Slash, and I'm able to get the shield. That is big. We're still in a very rough spot, but shield advantage is at the very least something that I can work with. I'm going to bring in the Haunter, shield what should be an Earth Power here, and then commit to the farm down. Sludge Bomb is going to hit for massive neutral damage against the Obstagoon, so we shield up, and I farm down, and I leave with a ton of energy. Back in comes Obstagoon, but Haunter is going to be able to win CMP. Sludge Bomb, able to connect, and does massive damage onto the Obstagoon. I'm going to shield up, and then I should be able to outpace them to the next move. I farm up, and I go for the Shadow Punch bait, hoping that I can grab a shield here. Shadow Punch goes unshielded, I switch, and I'm able to catch the Night Slash onto Lickitung. So a pretty big misplay by me to not go for the Sludge Bomb, but either way, still able to get them low. In the back, the opponent has Trevenant. This is a very nice matchup for Lickitung, but down a shield, things could get a little uncomfortable. I'm going to farm up and go for the Power Whip just before they're able to reach the next Seed Bomb. Power Whip is resisted, but is going to do some nice chip damage. Trevenant farming up a ton, and I'm able to fire off the Body Slam as they fire off the Seed Bomb. This is a CMP tie, and this should be grabbing the final shield. And now, I'm going to try and snipe with a Shadow Claw from Haunter. In comes Haunter, they survive on very low health, and they're able to reach a Seed Bomb. This is going to take me out. A big misplay. Lickitung licks down the Obstagoon, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, hitting Haunter into Venusaur. This is a very nice lead. Opponent immediately save switches into Galarian Stunfisk, and we have a great response in Obstagoon. Unfortunately, I'm not running Cross Chop, but I am going to fire off the neutral Night Slash as soon as I get it. Night Slash does some nice damage, and we do get the boost. Night Slash immediately proving its value. We do tank an Earthquake here, so I am going to let this through. And then as soon as I get to the next Night Slash, I'm going to fire it off. This way, if they want to land any more moves, they're going to have to commit a shield. G-Fisk decides to let the move through, and I'm expecting they're going to bring in Venusaur to try and farm me down. Thankfully, because of that boost, I'm in a pretty nice spot here because his boosted Night Slashes are going to hurt. Firing off the Night Slash gets the shield and a second boost. Obstagoon absolutely going off, and my opponent is forced to empty their energy. That is fantastic. I'm going to bring in Haunter and get ahead on energy since we have a shield advantage, but in the back is Bastiodon, and this is not good. They baited out my Obstagoon, and now my counter user is gone. And unfortunately, Lickitung doesn't have a fabulous matchup against Bastiodon. Bastiodon fires off the Stone Edge, and I'm going to fire back with the Power Whip. This is not going to do a ton of damage. Bastiodon is exceedingly bulky. Bastiodon burns the last shield. I still have 2 shields, but I'm still in a bit of a rough spot here. I'm going to fire off another Power Whip, but as you're going to see, this just does not do a lot of damage. Bastiodon is extremely defense weighted. At this point, I realize I have to get more damage off on this because the Smackdowns are going to do massive damage onto the Haunter. So I do commit the shield on Lickitung, and I'm going to fire off the Power Whip. This should hopefully be enough to get it into a range where Haunter can handle it. So I am going to let myself get low. They bring in Venusaur, and they throw energy. Honestly, that's perfect. I was looking to switch, but they make the switch first. They take me out, and in comes Haunter. I'm going to massively overfarm and then fire off a Shadow Punch. I am very close to 3 Shadow Punches here. That takes out the Venusaur. Back in comes the Bastiodon. We're firing off Shadow Punch number 2. This gets Basti low. Haunter able to Shadow Claw down, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, hitting Haunter into Alolan Ninetales. Pretty nice lead. Opponent is going to save switch into Swampert, and I'm going to respond with Lickitung. Despite the fact that Lickitung does have Power Whip, this is by no means a safe matchup because Swampert just extremely outpaces. I'm farming up to the Power Whip, and they're already at a second Hydro Cannon, so things are not looking great for me whatsoever. I'm going to overfarm with my Lickitung quite a bit, and then go for a Body Slam bait. They should shield here. My hope is that this bait will prevent them from overfarming a bunch, and it does as they fire off a move. This is still not great because I've lost switch advantage, and now the Charmer is going to be aligned against my Obstagoon. My thought is that I'm actually going to try and commit to a very aggressive farm down here, because if I can leave with a bunch of energy, I can threaten that Alolan Ninetales with my Gunk Shot. So I'm going to keep farming up, and we do get the counter through as they throw. So I am going to shield this up, and then fully commit to the farm down. Opponent aggressively switches into the Ninetales, and I'm going straight for the Gunk Shot. Gunk Shot, able to connect, and we take down the Ninetales. In the back, they have Galarian Stunfisk. I overfarm slightly, and I'm going to fire off the Night Slash. Night Slash does some nice damage. Obstagoon farming up, and we reach another Night Slash as well. Opponent got a little greedy with the overfarm, lets us reach a Night Slash, and it's a CMP tie as well. Even better, I can very safely let the Rock Slide go, and now bring in Haunter. Haunter should be able to Shadow Claw down before they reach a second Rock Slide here. I'm just farming up quite a bit. They bring in Swampert, and I'm going to fire off the Shadow Punch. I'm a little worried about Swampert reaching a move, so I fire off the Shadow Punch. We take them out. We farm down the G-Fisk, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Haunter into Medicham, an incredibly good lead. Opponent save switches into Sableye, and I make a massive mistake. I bring in Obstagoon, but if you've seen a lot of teams with Sableye and Medicham on them, what do they typically have as their third? Either a Steel type or Lickitung. In that case, I needed to save my Obstagoon. I realized my mistake, and I realized that I'm going to need to save this Obstagoon for the endgame. I do decide to fire off a Night Slash. I slightly undercharge it because I want to leave with a move loaded if at all possible. My opponent is going to immediately bring back in the Medicham, but this Night Slash will allow me to burn my switch clock, and then I can pivot into Lickitung. This way I can save my Obstagoon for what should be either a Steel type or Lickitung in the back. Medicham is staying in. I'm going to fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam does get the shield. Medicham farms up a bunch of energy. They bank 2 moves and they bring in their own Lickitung. And suddenly, I realize my opponent has made a fantastic play. They banked 2 moves on their Medicham, meaning that they now have the ability to take out my Haunter with their Medicham because I only have 1 shield left. That's absolutely fantastic energy management by my opponent. Their Lickitung is going to fire off a move. This is going to come very close to KOing here. Body Slam, barely not enough. I save the move, and I'm going to bring in Obstagoon. Obstagoon is going to tank the Body Slam, and I'm going to fire off the Night Slash. Switch clocks were misaligned, so I'm trying to take advantage of it. Night Slash gets the Lickitung low. In comes Medicham. Medicham able to counter down, and this is not good at all. I do have a move on the Lickitung here, but I bring in the Haunter. I was hoping that the one Shadow Claw would KO. I decide to call the bait. We get hit with the Psychic, and we lose a very winnable game. Hopping into the next match, letting Haunter into Trevenant, fairly neutral lead. Opponent save switches into a Walrein, and we have a great response in Obstagoon. Walrein farming up a ton of energy and going to fire off a move. We do tank 2 Icicle Spears here, so I'm not going to be shielding either one of them. I'm going to fire off the Night Slash. This will not KO from this range, but it is going to get the Walrein into counter down range. Walrein fires off another Icicle Spear, but I do know that I can survive this. Obstagoon able to hang on. Obstagoon able to counter down and leave on very low HP. We do leave with a move to throw at the Trevenant if they bring it back in, but they bring in their final Pokemon instead, Registeel. This is not great for my Lickitung, so I'm actually going to bring in the Haunter against the Registeel, because Haunter has a surprisingly nice matchup here. The Shadow Claws add up quite a bit, and the Shadow Punches will hurt as well. I fire off the Shadow Punch, and I'm able to get the shield. They're going to fire off Zap Cannon after Zap Cannon, but Haunter massively outpaces Registeel in this matchup, so I'm honestly in a very nice spot here. I'm almost at the back-to-back Shadow Punches, firing off another. Registeel is going to let it through, and I'm able to reach yet another Shadow Punch. If they let it through, I can very safely bring in Lickitung to close out the match. In comes Trevenant, in comes Lickitung, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a terrible lead, Haunter into Sableye. I save switch into Lickitung, and my opponent responds with Shadow Walrein. I can force shields here, which is quite nice, so I'm going to go straight for the Power Whip, guaranteeing big damage or a shield, and we're able to land the Power Whip. Opponent calls the bait, and it does not go well for them. They fire back with the Icicle Spear. Lickitung able to farm down and take switch advantage. This is massive, because this means I can align that Sableye onto my Obstagoon in the endgame. My opponent brings in their final Pokemon, which is Lickitung. This is really good news for my Obstagoon, because their remaining 2 Pokemon are very weak to Obstagoon, but the bad news is that my Haunter basically has nowhere to run. So my plan is to basically just try and catch a move onto Haunter if at all possible. I'm expecting them to throw just before I get to a move, so I switch, and we're able to catch onto Haunter. Let's go. They go for the Power Whip. That lands. In comes Sableye. Shadow Claws tearing through Haunter, but I'm able to reach a last-second Shadow Punch. This will hit for some solid chip damage onto the Sableye. Sableye able to farm down. I bring back in the Lickitung, and I'm going straight for the Body Slam. This is double resisted, but damage is damage. They will commit the shield, and they're forced to throw to take me out. And from here, 2 Shield Obstagoon is in a very nice spot to close out the match. In comes Obstagoon. They're going to fire off a move. At this point, I'm shielding anything they throw here, because a return would do way more than anything that Lickitung can do to me. I'm going to be firing off the Night Slash. Night Slash takes down Sableye. Back in comes Lickitung, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, letting Haunter into Shadow Swampert. This is not the most comfortable lead ever, so I will be looking to switch out of here eventually. I'm going to farm up to what could be a Shadow Ball and bait with the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch does get the shield. I throw one more, switch, and I catch as they reach the back-to-back Hydro Cannons. Lickitung takes the Hydro Cannon, and in comes Venusaur. Venusaur farming up, able to get to a Frenzy Plant. This is just about Frenzy Plant range. Lickitung barely able to hang on and fire off this Body Slam. It's not going to be enough to KO, but I think it should put it into farm down range for Haunter, because my goal is to try and get a ton of energy on Haunter if at all possible. But these Vine Whips are doing massive damage onto the Haunter. I may have miscalculated here. Can we even farm down? Haunter able to do so, but leaves on very low HP. Opponent brings in Galvantula, but I'm able to deny their Volt Switch. That's not how the game is supposed to work. They're supposed to sneak through a Volt Switch there, but unfortunately the game not working as intended, and I'm able to grab a shield. In comes Obstagoon, and this Galvantula does have energy. I am going to be letting this lunge through. It will do massive damage, but I'm able to survive it. Obstagoon, overfarming as much as I can and firing off the Night Slash. Night Slash takes down Galvantula. Back in comes Shadow Swampert, and we're able to reach the Night Slash. The question is, can they reach the back-to-back Hydros here? This is going to be close. I believe they're one short. I believe they're one short here. Are they? They are! We farmed down with Obstagoon, and that is a good game. All in all, I had a ton of fun running the Triple Tongue theme team. It's been a very long time since I ran Haunter, and man, was it fun to run. As I mentioned at the beginning, Haunter is an extremely tough Pokemon to run. It's very high risk, high reward. It has a terrific moveset, and its attack stat is incredibly high, meaning that it can output a tremendous amount of damage. But in the wrong situation, it can get one-shot by just about anything. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.